of...
Well, welcome, folks, to this edition of the 700 Club. It's massive, massive. The coronavirus is on a rampage in China. Yesterday, a drastic spike of 15,000 new cases was reported, along with more than 254 additional deaths. Why the sudden jump? And how is the Chinese government responding? Our Jenna Browder has more on this escalating crisis.
The increase in cases is due to expanded diagnosis criteria, allowing doctors to more quickly diagnose and begin treatment immediately. That brings the total number of people infected by the virus, now labeled COVID-19, to about 60,000, and total deaths to more than 1,300. The shift raises questions about China's testing methods and numbers, resulting in the firing of two party officials in Hubei. And with the number of cases on the rise, health officials are warning it could soon start spreading in communities here at home.
A virus can have more powerful consequences than any terrorist action.
The newest case confirmed in the U.S. among evacuees quarantined on a military base in San Diego. Of the new cases confirmed outside China, nearly 50 were on board this Diamond Princess cruise ship, quarantined off the coast of Japan.
As each day progresses, we are having additional people tested positive.
And this Holland America cruise ship was turned away from 5 different ports in Asia, even though there are no known cases of COVID-19 on board.
We're all a bunch of human beings on this ship that have lives outside of this cruise ship that need us.
Passengers celebrating, though, after learning they'll finally get to dock in Cambodia. Now, help from Israel in the form of new technology could help curb the virus. This revolutionary face mask has the ability to kill 99% of viruses like COVID-19.
It kills all viruses, all bacteria, all fungus, and it will do it 100% of the time, all day, all night, 7 days a week. You can wash it, you can bleach it, you can dye it, you can hit it with a baseball bat. It's going to do its job.
Israeli scientists use invisible sound waves to inject copper particles with antiviral properties into cotton. These engineers then combine the ancient tradition of spinning cotton with today's technology. The result, masks that are far more effective than the standard N95 masks. The company is shipping these life-saving masks to Hong Kong. And we've also learned about another victim of the coronavirus. The Chinese Grand Prix, which was supposed to happen in April in Shanghai, has been postponed. Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Isn't it marvelous that God is giving the Israelis the concept that will change the life of millions of people, injecting copper into these masks? It's marvelous. Well, in other news, frigid temperatures are invading the Northeast while a snowstorm shuts down parts of the West. John Jessup has more.
That is right, Pat. A major winter storm sweeping through the country today. Life-threatening conditions shutting down Interstate 29 in North Dakota from the Canadian border to the South Dakota state line. In Kansas, 17 people were taken to the hospital with minor injuries after a school bus carrying 5th graders slid off the road. The storm moving into Chicago last night. This morning, snow heading into the Northeast along with heavy rains from D.C. to Boston. Frigid air will bring below average temperatures to the region this evening. Well, fiscal 2020 is just getting started, but the government is already setting records for taxing and spending. The Treasury Department reports it collected over $1,178 billion in total taxes from October through January. That tops last year's high water mark. While the government was collecting all that money, it also spent a record amount. Expenses totaling more than $1,567 billion. That's a deficit over $389 billion. Well, the Equal Rights Amendment has been dead for nearly 40 years. Now, House Democrats, though, are trying to bring it back to life. Even though the deadline passed in 1982, Speaker Nancy Pelosi is trying to change the rules to get it in, even over the objection of one notable liberal. Senior Washington correspondent Jennifer Wishon explains.
Today, the House votes on a bill that removes the deadline for ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment. It's a last-ditch effort by Democrats to get the controversial amendment added to the Constitution.
With this resolution, we take a giant step toward equality for women, progress for families, and a stronger America.
The Equal Rights Amendment, which says equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex, passed Congress in 1972, but it failed to get the approval needed from 38 states, the 3/4 required to amend the Constitution before its 1979 and then extended 1982 deadlines passed. Plus, a number of states that did ratify the ERA later rescinded their approval.
It is time to guarantee true gender equality under the United States Constitution.
Despite the deadline expiring decades ago, Virginia revived the debate in January when it became the 38th state to ratify. The Commonwealth's first female Speaker of the House ensured the ERA was the first bill to pass out of her chamber.
For the women of Virginia and the women of America, the resolution has finally passed.
We will no longer suffer in silence as we are discriminated against. We will not stand by while being paid less. We won't keep quiet about violence perpetrated against women with impunity.
But critics say the ERA is the opposite of what it claims. They say it actually harms women and mandates abortion on demand.
This is about breaking down any prohibitions in any state against abortion. This is really about creating the inevitability on a federal level for abortion to be illegal, any reason, any number, all paid for by the taxpayer.
In addition, Nance says there are 800 gender-specific laws designed to protect women, like the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, that would disappear under the ERA.
Do we deserve special protection in certain areas because biologically we need them, or should those all end?
While Democrats work to revive the amendment, liberal icon Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg says the ERA is dead. She encourages supporters to start over in Congress. It's unlikely a new ERA as written would pass the Senate. Getting 3/4 of the state to ratify it would also be a challenge, but this fight is far from over. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Far from over indeed. Thanks, Jennifer. Pat, back to you.
Imagine they say it's going to help women, but it's written so poorly. And I remember my good friend Phyllis Schlafly worked so hard, and it was in Illinois that they didn't ratify that steamroller to get this thing passed. Why? Well, among other things, it's not a question of gender. It doesn't say gender, it's sex, but this means how you do sex. This would, of course, put into the Constitution a protection for homosexuality. And all of the things that the LGBTQ group have been asking for, this would enshrine in the Constitution. And then it would mean that abortion on demand would be required by the Constitution. And then all the protections for women would be taken away that are in existing law. This isn't something to protect women, it's a protection. These other people would put them into the Constitution. And it's a tragic thing. And so Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was one of the attorneys for the ACLU, has said it right. If you want to do it, start all over again. This thing is dead. You cannot revive something that has been voted down, and a number of states have withdrawn their approval, so they have to go back and pick that up again. But it would be a tragedy, in my opinion, in this nation to put this kind of thing in the Constitution. But people are moving ahead as if, I certainly think we should have equal rights for women all the way across the board. And there are many, many, many laws on the books right now mandating equal pay for equal work and all the rest of the thing that women want, protection for women. All those protections will be taken away with this amendment. So, anyhow, listen. Could the impeachment of President backfire on the Democrats in 2020? Well, that's the big question, and the blowback has already started. Abigail Robertson brings us more from Washington.
Throughout the impeachment proceedings, Democrats made clear they wanted to target vulnerable Republicans by getting them on the record with tough votes. Now that President Trump's acquittal has led to record approval ratings, that strategy might be backfiring.
I can tell you, in all of our competitive Senate races, they're in better shape today than they were a month ago.
Not one of the GOP senators facing a tough re-election voted to impeach Trump.
Republicans are also counting on impeachment fatigue to help them hang on to those Senate seats and possibly gain enough votes to flip back the majority in the House of Representatives.
I don't like Trump, but I didn't like the impeachment.
Republicans are specifically targeting districts like Congresswoman Elaine Luria's in Virginia, who was one of 7 freshman Democrats who wrote this Washington Post op-ed about impeachment, almost guaranteeing hearings would get a green light.
And I don't think we should have wasted the time doing the impeachment. We have more important business like passing budgets, which is the job of Congress.
Many voters CBN News spoke with question Luria's vote to convict Trump on both articles.
A lot of us didn't think that was appropriate. I don't know that I necessarily voted for Trump, but I also don't know that what was going on was something that a lot of other politicians aren't involved in as well.
But others support her decision.
Personally, I think impeachment should have went through.
Meanwhile, Democratic leadership stands by impeachment.
We have no regrets about standing up for truth and the Constitution in impeachment, but that has never slowed us down from our work.
The big question is, 8 months from now, will impeachment still be top of mind with 2020 voters? Reporting from Washington, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, Chief Political Analyst David Brody is here to talk about vulnerable Democrats. And before we begin, David, today's your birthday. May I wish you a very happy birthday?
Pat, thank you so much. I call it the double nickel 55, or I like to also call it the IHOP senior menu breakfast. I'll be doing the simple 2-egg breakfast the rest of my life, I think.
All right, well, that's a triple 40. I'm glad that's a good breakfast for you. And I'm sure your analysis today is going to be equally cogent. Well, both sides are talking about impeachment politically playing in their favor. What do you think about this flipping the House? Is there any possibility?
Well, let's just go to a reality check for a moment. It is going to be hard. Impossible? No. Hard, yes, and that's because history is not the Republicans' friend here. If we can just take a quick trip down memory lane, and let's do it on my birthday, I guess, right? I mean, well, let's go way back. Ronald Reagan, in 1984, he had that landslide victory against Walter Mondale, won 49 of 50 states. In that election, they were able to gain, the Republicans were able to gain 16 seats. Here's the problem. The Republicans this time need 18 seats. They have to flip 18 seats. So even in a landslide by Reagan, they won 16. So it's tough to do. Now, having said that, it's Donald Trump, and he's facing this impeachment that the Democrats have put on him and really the country. And so there obviously is a different set of circumstances there. So we'll see. But it is very hard. Typically, incumbent presidents, when they win, there have been 6 incumbent presidents that actually have won since World War II, and they net about 7 House seats total for their party. So it's an uphill climb statistically. Having said that, there are some tea leaves to read, and they're not good for Democrats, for sure.
David, do you think the Republicans have got the money? I mean, it's going to take a war chest to... I noticed here in the 2nd District, they're going after Elaine Luria already before the impeachment vote even took place. Do they have the money to really mount a media campaign on this?
Well, they do. As a matter of fact, over $500 million coming in between the Republican National Committee, pro-Trump groups, and the Trump campaign themselves. So they have a lot of money, and a lot of money since impeachment as well. And also, remember, Donald Trump's numbers, that Gallup poll, we've talked about that. He's at 49% approval rating, which is his highest number in Gallup. Before impeachment, that same number, that same approval rating from Gallup was 39%. He jumped 10 points because of impeachment. And so if you kind of get into the numbers, let's look at Anthony Brittisi up in New York. I think that's a real important one to watch. He is a Democrat who voted for impeachment, and he's in a Trump district. He's in a +15 Trump district. And if you look at the polling inside his district, 54% of the folks inside his district in New York did not want him to vote for impeachment. They were against impeachment, but he voted for it anyhow. And now more than 41% compared to 21%. 41% say they are less likely to vote for him now because he voted for impeachment. That gives you a sense of what could be happening in many of these Trump districts. There are 31 Trump districts. In other words, these are Democrats that have won in Trump districts. That's the concern for Democrats.
Looks like the Democrats turned some important California congressman, like in Orange County, which is pretty much a Republican area. Is there any chance of them coming back?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you mentioned that. I know Gil Cisneros, the Democrat, did win back over there in Orange County. And it's interesting because I was just out in the OC, if you will, in Anaheim, California, talking to some pastors out there. You know, they've had over 50 pastors that have, in essence, declared that they're going to run for public office, whether it be city council, potentially Congress, all of the different offices out there, just in Orange County alone, which is interesting. So there is a movement afoot by pastors in this country, actually, to get involved in the political process. And we're seeing a movement out there in Orange County. And as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, Pat, we need to do a story about that, which we will, coming up on the 700 Club, I'm sure.
Well, I didn't realize that I was giving you a lead. I threw a softball and you hit it out of the park. All right, behind closed doors, what are the Democrats saying about this whole impeachment matter?
Well, they're very concerned, and I know Chuck Schumer has come out publicly and said that some of these Senate Republicans are vulnerable, like Joni Ernst and Martha McSally and Susan Collins and onward and onward. But the truth of the matter is they were already vulnerable before impeachment. In other words, Susan Collins right now is the least, she has the worst approval rating of all Republican senators right now. She's in trouble in Maine, but she was in trouble before impeachment. So this idea that Chuck Schumer is saying publicly that these Republicans are in trouble because of their votes on impeachment, not true. As a matter of fact, if you look at some of these Senate Republicans that voted for impeachment, Susan Collins, Cory Gardner, Martha McSally, you can go down the list. Let's be honest, they voted for a couple of reasons. They voted to acquit President Trump because they didn't want to primary challenge, number one, and they're also hoping that impeachment eventually, after another 7, 8, 9 months of this, will in essence go by the wayside and not be so top of mind for folks that wanted this president impeached. They believe that overall the economy's doing well, a lot of other factors, and so that's why they're hoping that this will just kind of ride out. So I wouldn't believe the Chuck Schumer line so much that these vulnerable Republicans or these Republicans are in trouble in the Senate. I mean, I think it was going to always be a pretty tough race for all of them anyhow.
Okay. Well, David, again, happy 5-5, and you have a good day. God bless you.
Thank you, Pat.
David Brooks.
Welcome back to Washington for the CBN News Break. A new documentary puts the spotlight on a Christian pharmacist. The 4-episode Netflix series tells the story of Dan Schneider, who worked to shut down a doctor who allegedly was selling prescriptions for cash to thousands in his community. The operation was described as a pill mill, with doctors opening medical clinics to sell prescriptions for OxyContin, Soma, and Xanax. Schneider's story begins with the death of his own son and his growing concerns as he learns that people whose prescriptions he was filling were dying of overdoses. The Pharmacist, which is available to stream now, was released last week. Pro-life supporters in New Mexico are fighting against a new abortion bill. State Democrats plan to reintroduce a new version of last year's House bill, which allows abortion up to birth. The bill removes conscience protections for healthcare professionals who believe abortion is wrong and gives unlicensed physicians the right to perform abortions. Christians, lawmakers, and others will meet at the New Mexico State Capitol this Friday for Pro-Life Lobby Day. You can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com. Pat and Wendy will be back with more of the 700 Club right after this.